Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We were starting out this live stream by queuing up another BPR Chestnut V. I really want to get that crewed Venus flyby contract completed successfully, and so this would be the first step. The good news is we don't need nearly as much hardware to go out with this flight as we did our last flight, so we were actually taking a bunch of things out of the cargo bay, but then realizing, hey, we've got lots of, I don't know, usable mass here that we could actually carry something. And since our orbit is near polar, and that is a biome on Venus we have not yet covered, I thought it might be a decent idea to try to get some of that polar biome science at Venus by bringing along a very small, very light, tiny little drop probe. So we were just going to take away one of the crew cabins because we are not going to bring the full rated 6 crew along for this journey. We'll probably only be bringing 4. And so we really wanted to kind of see what we could fit in this little cargo space because well, these lateral docking ports were designed for docking resupply pods too, if we needed to, or if there just wasn't room on the station itself. Unfortunately, the docking pods kind of outgrew the ability to use these ports, and so they've just kind of not been very useful for anything other than bringing a spare docking port along for installation on the station when needed. So they're kind of pointless anyway. It was a little extra room for the crew to stretch and move around and hang out in an airlock, enjoy the view, I guess, or things of that nature. So we've decided to remove one of them and build on a tiny little atmospheric drop probe, something that will basically just fall to Venus, gather in some science as on its way down, and hopefully land safely and be able to transmit some of it back. Now, we will not be building out the entire probe. We need to do some testing, but unfortunately, we can't really afford to run any simulations right now because we are really strapped for cash. So we will be installing the science loadout after the fact, just to keep things kind of squared away, and but we'll get all of the things that would normally need to be configured or need to be in good symmetry or too heavy for a Kerbal to lift installed before we kick this thing out the door, and well, hopefully we'll still be under our mass requirement. We do have a little kick stage for deorbit and targeting, and then RCS to keep the heat shield into the wind on the way down, and a parachute that can just be as tiny as we want. As long as it's made out of Kevlar, it should be able to help us very safely touch down, although if we sacrifice the heat shield on the way, then, so be it. So we will just drop everything else that we are going to take with us into this cargo bay so that we can install it all in situ and, well, hope for the best, because it'd be kind of neat to hit just one more biome while we're there. It's not like the crew will be able to take any of it into the lab, but I'm really hoping their stay at Venus will be very short so that we can fulfill the contract, get paid, and, I don't know, have clout. So, moving swiftly along, we are going to cycle our crew from our new lunar research base out. So our first step is to get our new crew up to Kauai Potato Station and have them prep the lunar transit vehicle. The shuttle will stay on station and bring the old crew back to Earth while the new crew is getting things situated. So there's ignition and liftoff of our Shuriken Mark 6K, as it is carrying 3 Kerbals up to Kauai Potato Station. Who do we have on this one? Ludmina, Stephen Hudson, and Timifer Yakonski. Boosters up, cleaning away, looking absolutely glorious as usual, as we just kind of lean into it and try to work through some of this relative inclination as we push our way up to orbit, trying hopefully to stay as close to the relative inclination of the station as we really possibly can. But these shuttle flights being relatively routine now, it's been a long time since we accidentally killed anyone aboard any of them. So there's main engine cutoff. We're just going to transfer all of our fuel from the EFT before we jettison it and deploy our solars, kick on our fuel cells, and then start to wait just a few orbits before we can start dialing in our rendezvous. And it's actually not that bad. We were not really close to launch to orbit, but I think that we're still going to be on station, well, long before some of our other flights that have attempted this. I think we're at hour number 17, and we're just dialing in this last little bit of separation at closest approach, so hopefully it'll be less than a day before they can be brought aboard station while we wildly overswing our correction orbit, bringing that separation down to about 55 meters. Not bad. This one actually went really well. So we're going to try to balance out our fuel load for getting ourselves angled in to make this our rendezvous burn. And there you can see fast approaching from beneath us, the little targeted reticle is Kauai Potato Station. So we're just adjusting a little bit of our speed here while we make our approach. We still got about 3 minutes before rendezvous proper, but yeah, it's going to take it's a long 3 minutes. Even in very highly sped up footage, you can see the delay for render range. So there she is, and our burn to rendezvous is complete, and we're really not all that bad as far as targeting is concerned. We'll just wildly pitch past our vector because, well, we have way more authority on pitch up than we do on pitch down. And unfortunately, the one that we're most easily lined up for is the short port. So that'll bring us right in 90 degrees off from Nemo there as we make our approach. Nice and easy was kind of the theme of the day. Although we do have a bunch of pitch up happening when I really would prefer it not to. So here is our final docking approach as we just kind of swing ourselves into position. Looks a lot more exciting when it's all sped up. This is done very slowly and kind of carefully. More or less. Not much paint left on these docking ports, so we got to be kind of extra careful. I think that paint has thermal qualities or something. Anyway, here's old me.
Like that port is already inside the cargo bay. All right, let's make this a nice one touch, one and done, right? That's the goal. Not gonna happen. Keep your nose down, friend. And also back up just a little bit. That should be good. Oh, dude, look at that. Yes. No scraped paint today, friends.
So yes, I did just want to gloat in that one a little bit because that was one of the finer dockings ever accomplished on this channel. So old school me forgot to refuel Nemo, so we're going to spend just a little time emptying out one of the tanks on the Shuriken Mark 6K here. It does carry up enough fuel to refuel Nemo from empty, as well as top off his life support for a solid round trip before jumping back out here to our Lunar Research Station, Mom Base, Project M97, as we are just going to double check. We do have some excess fuel that we cannot balance out because, well, we crashed our resupply pod about 250 meters away, where it's going to sit and wait for us to be able to pick it up for a while. So our first step is to get our pilot aboard and get everything booted up, make sure the life support is unlocked and ready. let the base, let one of these Allen take the lower hatch for no good reason. And now we have this nice glitch where the port has become the root part, which is why we attach it to the crates, is so that we can just attach the crate, the root part resets, everything is better, and everyone is happier. Now we are going to try to jettison as much of this weight as possible because we have quite a large inclination change to make. It does add about another 500 or so meters per second to our ascent profile, and it really would help if we weren't carrying crates full of, concrete anchors and a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff that we don't quite need. So the Lunar Uber 2 has been disconnected from the research station. We've made sure to radio in our last little bits of science that we have done the research for, and we're actually in a pretty good position to go ahead and make our ascent. This Hotel Coast Cosmos doesn't actually pass over our research station. We should probably try to correct that by adjusting our station's inclination, but even then, you get an open window about every 26 to 28 days to make your ascent, which is why it's important that we have supplies on the ground before we cycle a crew. The last thing we want to do is kind of botch a landing or have, some tragic KSP physics rendering error that blows stuff up, and we can't get the crew to the station anytime in the near future. So there is a kind of a botched ascent attempt. I was hoping to get our apoapsis just up to the orbit or to be at the ascending or descending node of Hotel Coast Cosmos. However, that was just not really going to be a thing. So we're going to circularize it out, go a little above its maximum altitude, and then adjust for our inclination. It's like I mentioned earlier, that inclination change is going to be about another 500 or so meters per second onto our ascent profile, but the little Lunar Uber here was actually designed to make a direct landing and ascent without having to refuel. But it doesn't consider a massive plane change like this as part of its original intended flight plan. It was built for our old lunar research station, Rosalina Memorial Station, which was kind of directly underneath the orbital platform that supported it, so we didn't have to worry so much about these massive inclination changes as part of its original flight profile. But with the inclination all worked out and our orbital altitudes somewhere close enough-ish, we can start plotting for our rendezvous, which actually does not take a whole lot of delta V to get us to where we need to be. I think we're looking at about 20 meters per second to drive down that last 90 or so kilometers of separation. It does become a little touchy, and we'll just go ahead and let it finalize at 560 meters of separation. And the good news is we got all kinds of TWR, so we can just walk right up on top of this, pop the engines, and then boom, there we are. And there is Hotel Coast Cosmos, and now we can start to make our approach. And the other nice thing about the Lunar Uber here is it has very, very, very good brakes. So we can come in quickly and then just terminate that speed. So nice. And then, of course, swing it around and start to aim for that docking port so that we can get this crew back to Earth and back with gravity. But anyway, I'm going to turn you over now to old me.
Hey, docked. That was not terrible. Just a little bit of scraped paint, but not all of the scraped paint. Quick saving.
So with the crew safely aboard Hotel Coast Cosmos, we will start to refuel the Crush, which is our lunar transit vehicle here, and that will be their ride home. We'll probably get them going shortly after we get the crew from Earth out here. So that's going to do it for this one, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.